So I've heard this term before, and I want you to speak to it from the angle of elemental feminine. We've heard in our modern times that we have a lot of wimpy men and ball-busting women, and I'd love you to speak to that stereotypical declaration.
Well, I think in Western culture, American women have been trained because of work and circumstance that what the external world responds to is a more forceful, aggressive approach. And I think that, especially in business, women feel that they're feminine. If they move from their feminine, sometimes men think they're being manipulative with their sexuality, or that they can be distracting, or they're too emotional. And so women create this very tight container, and they try to be like the men. And what the elemental feminine for us is about loosening that shell that women have learned to create, and actually try to come from a more balanced place, because I think that there is a way that Jennie and I practice on a daily basis, that we are women, but we are in a man's world. And so we are fluid between those elements. So we want to be both, and we want to create a culture where in business you can be both, and you're not seen as manipulative or overly sexual or a whiny woman, but you have actually both of those qualities, that you can use your intuitive feminine and your creative self, and it's beautiful to watch, and you can also get the job done and put it together. So, that's what the elemental feminine is about, is to kind of break down the shell that we have culturally created. And there's a telepathic agreement field in America that women feel like they have to be almost stronger than the men or more directed than the men, and we're trying to say, hey, what if you can integrate your feminine and actually get further and get a lot more done and have a lot more energy and be a lot happier than when you're trying to fit completely into the masculine world.
And I think Suzanne has mentioned this before, where in this time we're moving into more of a blend, where men can step into a more feminine energy as needed, or a masculine energy as needed, and same goes for the feminine. But there's still this navigation point that I feel like we're still trying to sort out as a culture. And so I think perhaps where the wimpy men concept comes from is, again, women have become very skilled at this very forceful, penetrating, direct energy. And for a long time, men recognized this was good to cultivate in women. It was, there was a shifting of the energy, and women wanted to feel more powerful. And it took maybe some time, but men wanted to support women in that area. And what I feel is now there's a part of men who now don't know how to live in that same domain with the woman. So they may feel that as the woman becomes very direct and very piercing, that they have to kind of pull back from that, because they don't want to usurp her power, but they also don't want to go head to head like two rams out in the wild that are just cracking up against each other. So there's a navigation point for men and women that a woman can be very strong. So let's say, for example, I go to my partner with a huge amount of force and I'm very strong and I'm totally wrong, right? Let's say I'm totally wrong. So as my masculine partner, he recognizes I'm wrong, and for him, in that moment, maybe it's best for him to more softly say, kind of navigate it from a more feminine energy, or maybe that's not going to work on me because in that moment I'm particularly dense. So he has to be more forceful. So it's that navigation point where we no longer have to, men don't have to shrink back from this force of this woman, but also we don't have to go at each other like two rabid wolverines, but it's this point of we can meet each other in a certain way, and in that moment, one of us in a heart-centered way can realize, okay, I need to relax and receive, while the other one, kind of steps in and takes the structure. So in my mind, it's this place where we have this blend, but we're also, as a culture, really trying to figure out how to play the dance, and both masculine and feminine become more fluid in this dance. And I think that's where we run into, fights and headbutts and things like that, because we're not quite there yet. It's really challenging.